Hi, I'm going to go over the overview as quick as I can make it for my therapy wizard and explain the basic features. I will not deep dive on any part, but I just sort of want to show you what it does from sort of beginning to end. My therapy wizard is for patients of all ages, and it's also for OT, PT, speech, and mental health providers. And if you choose the team subscription with the billing add-on, you'll be able to send invoices, super bills, and also directly bill insurances through our integration with ClaimMD. Okay, so let's look at this a little more closely. You are looking at my demo account, obviously, which is why all these beakers are here. That means that these are not real students. And since I'm logged in as administrator, I'm able to see a lot of settings here that a typical clinician would not be able to see. So we have lots of role permissions, but I just wanted to sort of explain that to you before going forward. So this that you're looking at here is the therapy record. So when I click on any students, like right now I'm looking at Ivy Fluffy Bottom, and you can see up here how many plans of care that she has, notes, reports, upcoming appointments, all that kind of stuff. Her life cycle, meaning like what does the therapy life cycle, what's been happening. So it looks like right now we're at an evaluation, and the next steps for her would be the evaluation administration review, the plan of care. All of these things can also be changed. These are considered, let's see, flow settings. So every therapy practice will determine and move these around or enable or disable them based on how your therapy practice works. Okay, so let's look back into Ivy again. So in general, I'm going to kind of show you the way my therapy group works and show you the overview of what this looks like. You can already see that she has goals on here, and I can quickly see also that there's 0 sessions remaining because the end date right now for her plan of care is in the past. So we're showing red, but we can see like what's happened before that. And so what I'm going to show you is sort of what we would do for Ivy Fluffy Bottom. So first of all, I won't show you the schedule too much, but the guided evaluations are this. You're going to see mostly just occupational therapy, but when we do evaluations, there's guided evaluations in my therapy wizard, and I can select any student, and then it's going to offer me basically guided evaluation templates based on the discipline that I'm logged into. So I'm logged in as an OT, so I'm not going to see speech therapy, things like that. I mean, I may see that on this one because I'm in a demo account, but I will see the team favorites will populate first, which is set by the therapy practice manager. And I will just select whatever it is that I, feel is most relevant to her. Now, I'm also only seeing the guided evaluations that are appropriate for her age group. So I wouldn't see any adult evaluation templates on this one, but I'm just going to show you quickly. If I selected this early childhood one, it's going to take me through, and this one's particular is criterion reference. So speech, PT, mental health, all that will be like that. Some will be criterion reference, some will be general guided evaluations that will gather your information. So the main concept here is that us therapy practitioners, we're used to using these little checklist type of templates, and we go and we write and we scribble scrabble things down, and then we get in front of our computer later and we basically have to rewrite everything again. So this is where you will take out your computer or your iPad or whatever, and if it's a pediatric patient, some of these have nice visuals that you can enlarge, and it will basically take you through this and it uses basal and ceiling technology, meaning that when you have answered enough questions, it will move you on to the next part to try to get a real good understanding of where that patient is. But anyway, you can kind of see some of the things that that it has on here. So as you put in information, it's scoring it on the back end. So you're not going to have to go in and add more things. If there's something on here that you have specifically that you want to add more notes in, you can. But anyway, you can skip sections that you don't need. And in each guided evaluation is a little bit different. So once you complete one of those, the next step is, do you want to send out any forms or questionnaires to teachers, caregivers, to the client themselves? You can see on here for OT, we have, I believe it said 17 different opportunities to send out a form. The forms are very easy to do. And then once you send them out, you'll see down here, like for instance, this one was completed or this one was in progress. You can send them directly from the MyTherapyWizard portal, or you can like select here, this one's expired, so it won't let me do it. But you can also click the link and then you can send it in a text or in your own email or whatever. But they're very, very easy to do. They're very fast. And each of them will tell you a little bit more about what it is. So for instance, let's see, let's look at the dressing skills. Like basically these are a Likert type schedule. I mean, a Likert type of questionnaire. So a lot of these too can look at progress, baseline criteria data, and then you can send it out every 3 or 6 months. And then you'll be able to integrate these form responses into a report along with a guided evaluation, along with a standardized assessment, etc. So that's the next part I want to show you is we have assessments. You only see the assessments that deal with your profession or your discipline, even though you can see this one, but you can sort of see the way these are listed. So you can go in and add in all this information. You can continue. That's why I haven't put anything in here. Save progress. You can go to the next one, add in. This is obviously for speech. There's a ton on here. So if I was going to add another assessment for a particular client, I can choose from any of these, and we always add more and more here, but you can see. So basically it's capturing, it's not scoring. You're going to add in the scores because that's proprietary copyrighted data by the specific assessment tools. But anyhow, you'd be able to add this in as sort of like your library that's going to hold that information about that particular patient. Because as you know, what we normally do is we capture that data in a one-time thing on our EMR, and it'll say, whatever the standardized results are and the percentile. And then 6 months later, you have to go back and dig through that. And then you have to sort of compare the progress. And there's just no easy way to do that. So there is now. So the next part is the report wizard. So what I want to show you a little bit, I think the easiest way to show you is to actually do one. So if I was going to complete a report for Ivy, this is basically, it's telling me, where do you want to look for the data? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back a little bit because I believe that there was an evaluation that I did for her in the past. And this is the next part that I really like. You will choose which type of report you want to do. We have all kinds of ones. I'm not going to go into much detail here, but so, just depending on the length of it and what it is, you can choose here. You can choose if this is going to be for medical. So if you're billing insurance, you probably need to choose this. Whereas if you're in the IP world, you need to choose here. Or if you're just sending it out to a parent or caregiver and it needs to be easy to understand, this was your choice. When you go in and you select the data, so if I had, let's say this was a reevaluation or something like that, I was selecting that and I wanted to be able to also include my session notes, like anything information here, I could do that. But for today, I'm not going to do any session notes. What I'm going to do is go through and select an evaluation that I want to use. I'm going to choose the one that was done on 8/20, this one, here we go, on 8/20. And then I can also choose if I want to include any of the form responses that I've received. So I could go ahead and select any or all of these. But let's say just for today that I want to choose the dressing skills that the parent did. Also, I'm going to go ahead and choose that the data that I added in for the BERI. Now, remember, every time that I evaluate, this patient, all of these are going to still be available to me. So if I had a second time when I did a standardized test, I could choose both of those as well. And then it would give us a good amount of progress information. Now, down here is where if you had additional information that you wanted to know about before you generate, you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and generate. Now, when I generate the report, I want you to remember that everything is already scored in the back end. So when we generate the AI report, AI, what it's doing is, first of all, this is HIPAA and FERPA compliant. It's not sending any information that is would be considered PHI to AI. It's all very contained. What it's actually sending are the scores, and it is doing a kind of a formatted, generated language type report. So basically taking everything and putting it together based on, the discipline that the logged in user is. So let's wait just a second, and it's going to generate our report, and then we'll move on and look at the next section. Okay, here we go. So that report took about, I don't know, 45 seconds. So the more things that you choose as far as for your data, the longer it's going to take because it has more items to configure and add in. But this report is fully editable by you. You should certainly look at it. You can change anything that you need to, but I just want to show you what came up. So you can also pause the video if you want to see more closely what it did. So it's basically integrating everything that you asked it to, and it'll show you like the band level for the interpretation guide. You can see here it'll have the detailed form responses and rating summary. And so basically we'll say like what the parent said from that form, and then how that relates to, is it different? Is it similar to the evaluation results that the therapist obtained? Also down here, it will show any of those assessments. So this showing on here the information from the BURI that I asked it to, and also gives like a little detail about the BURI. So every time that you add something from standardized assessment, you don't have to worry about rewriting all that. So anyhow, let's see, let's go on down. So remember, this is the full evaluation. So this one's a little bit long. You can choose the abbreviated one if you don't need one that's quite this long. This is the one that we use this past school year for, well, we call it school year, but anyway, we submitted around 1,200, maybe 1,000 authorizations with this information to insurance, and only had, I think we're at 4 or 5 denials. So we continued to use this one because it seemed like this is what we would be best to use. But anyway, you can see down here we have an interpretation and functional impact, eligibility, justification. So this is basically a justification based on looking at scores and helping you as a therapist to sort of decide. So that way, if you have 10 patients, it really helps you to sort of level the playing field. So you're not giving a whole lot of units or whatever to one, and then having another patient that's very similar level and giving very different. You can change it if you want to. Like I said, it's just an option. It'll also have all the rest of the information. You can also translate it to another language as well. So if you translate it to another language, you can see, you won't be able to see this in yours, but it's 13 different languages. I'm not going to do that right now. Now, the next part that's really cool is, so you've created your guided evaluation here. What do you do next? Well, typically we're going to create a plan of care if we believe that the client needs or qualifies for therapy service. So again, we are looking at occupational therapy on here, but this whole system works the same for all different therapy practitioners. It's just that every report looks a little different depending on the discipline. So next, we're going to create a new plan of care. I'm going to choose Ivy Fluffy Bottom. I'm going to choose medical because I want it to look like a medical plan of care. If I was seeing her through school system, I would choose this educational one, and it would be participation based language. I could do a manual one, but why would I when I can pull it from the report wizard? And so basically what I'm doing is I'm looking through here to see which one that I want to do. So I can see that this one was generated today, and it is the evaluation that occurred on 8/20. I have no idea why you would generate it almost a year later, but we are playing today. I can also see that my tag medical, it matches here. It won't let you mix it up. So then I go on down here and I choose the discipline. Obviously, it's OT. The place of service for us is going to be the office. And I'm going to start my plan of service just so I can show you. I'm going to start this back a little bit in April, and I'm going to make it for 3 months. So you can see when I hit 3 months how it's going to change the end date for me automatically. So this is another thing that will save you time, and it'll help you to be accurate. So you can even do this if it's for an IEP. You can choose school year or 1 year, and then you can adjust your end date. So I'm going to generate the report. Now, the beauty of this, and you'll see what happens, is it's going to take in that information from the evaluation results that we just looked at a second ago, and it's going to add it to a plan of care, which is editable. You can see now what we have. So it's going to, let me show, before I show you the goals and stuff, it's going to pull up the current level of function that came from the evaluation. Again, you can edit it. You could take off whatever you want. You can also edit anything you want to, and you should. You should certainly review it. And then it'll also add in some recommendations and strategies. I always add a little bit more here. I mean, I don't add more than what's here, meaning that when you're reading this, you're going to see more than you probably need, because for you, I think it's a whole lot easier to edit and then to just take some things away rather than having to add on a bunch of stuff. Same thing for accommodations. Just these are just ideas to help you to generate, it's idea generation is what it is. So we have that. Now we're going to look at the goals. It went ahead and created some goals based on areas that Ivy scored less than like 70%. Okay. So you can also change these. Sometimes you may need to go in. So this is one that we may share with PT sometimes. So if I felt like on here that she wouldn't be able to balance for 10 seconds, because right now it looks like her baseline was 5 seconds. Maybe I think that maybe 8 seconds would be a better goal. Since the plan of care is short, I could go in and I could change any of this as I wanted to. I could change it to 8 and save the changes, and then you'll see it says 8. I could change anything on here. So again, you can also, if you wanted to pull something from your bank, you can create goals in your goal bank. I'm not going to show you that today, but then if there's you can search it through domain, or you are not able to see the domain drop down on this one, but any of the domains from your discipline, you can look at it that way, or you can search by a word like that. And then you can also see how it's favorited by me or favorited by my administrator, and you can add that on. So if I decided I wanted to do that, now you can see that it's been added on. I don't actually know if I added. Yeah, there we go. So anyhow, billing and visits, I think this is really strong. When you add on your billing and visits, the AI suggestion will be here from the report. It's just guidance. Okay. So then you can choose what you want. So let's say if I want to do once a week for 2 units, it's going to auto calculate what those units and visits look like. Again, if you were doing this for an IEP, you don't have to really worry about this. You can just change it here. So that way it will help you to track how many visits you need to do at the end of that plan of care or treatment plan. So for my therapy group, we always also add this, so that way the insurance authorization person will know that even though we're asking for 2 units a visit, we may also want to see them for up to 4 units per visit. Like say if the patient missed a day of therapy and can't come for an extra one, maybe we'll do a 4-unit visit instead. So down here you'll also be able to add, if generally you want caregiver training. So you can also see down here that already have a diagnosis. And so I'm going to save it. And then all I have to do is, now you can see I'm just going to keep all this. I'm going to activate my plan of care, and then I'm going to sign off on it. And then you can see instantly what my plan of care is going to look like. So here it is. Of course, if I'd edited and made it shorter, then it's going to be much shorter than this. Each of the goals also, this has really been helpful for insurance, will actually say a baseline. So, where they're working from and where we're going to. All right, so those are the main parts of this section, and some of these things have changed a little bit as we migrate from OT Wizard to MyTherapyWizard. On the next video, I'm going to get into the sections down here and show you more about what you do after this part. Okay, so the last thing on this one that I want to show you is when I go into my schedule, and let's just say I'm going to go back just a little bit. It looks like Ivy was scheduled there. We'll see what it does. If I added Ivy again here, you can see that it will go ahead and link that plan of care. Or if there was more, like if you didn't want the goals, you could do that and the goals will go away. But you can add in all of your information here. So right now what I'm doing is just creating a session, but I could make it recurring if I wanted to. You can see how that would work. But for today, I'm just going to create a session. And now I'm going to go back in. Again, all of those goals are there. So let's say that I completed her evaluation, and I would just go through and click whatever is needed that applies for the therapy session. You can see up here that based on the plan of care that she's had no completed sessions, no in progress sessions, and that she still has 13 visits and units remaining. There is a way later that if you're on the billing portion of MyTherapyWizard, that if the plan of care or if the authorization results differ from the plan of care, then it will be the source of truth instead of the opposite way. Because obviously if the plan of care is not authorized by insurance as it was written, then we have to go by the whatever the authorization people say. But anyway, if I was going to add on any information here for Ivy, then I could go ahead and do that here. And the purpose of this is to offer more checkboxes instead of having to rewrite all of this. You can see the goal specific challenges. So if there was any here, I could add it. Goal training was provided. Let's say it was done by teacher. And I can also see anything that was added on any previous sessions with her. So that way I can just kind of remember. I'm not going to do any of those and then basically, if I added something here, such as Ivy, I'm going to pause for a second and write something and I'll be back. Okay, so I just wrote a little thing about Ivy. I added it here. So on the session notes, you can either just keep it as is, or if you want to do the Wizard, my AI note, it will structure everything that you wrote and like your check boxes and add it into one consolidated note. You can see it's already been done here, and you can also edit it from here. So I'm going to update it and sign the notes, and then you can also see that you can download that note and it will show you right here. It's been e-signed, everything is here, and if I'd made any changes, it would also be there. All right, so join me for the next video and we will dive more into billing.